If you've been watching YouTube videos about DSCR loans, you've probably heard the same thing over and over. They're easy. No income verification, no tax returns, no problem. Well, that's not completely wrong, but it does leave out the part where deals die, and DSCR deals die a lot. I've seen investors lose their earnest money. I've seen deals collapse, week before closing, and almost every time it comes back to a handful of reasons that nobody talks about up front. So today, I'm going to walk you through most every way a DSCR loan gets denied, including one program that most brokers probably haven't ever even heard of, so that if you're under contract right now or you're about to make an offer, you know exactly what you're walking into, and really more to the point, that you are completely educated about what you're making an offer on. So let's just get into it. So the number one deal killer is the ratio. And this is really the most obvious one because that's what these deals are based on. So DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. And the math is simple. They take the monthly rent and they divide it by the full mortgage payment. And when I say full mortgage payment, I mean the principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and the HOA dues, if there are any. And on a condo or a townhouse, that's a big deal. And most lenders I've seen want at least a 1 ratio. Some as high as a 1.2. So what that means is the property's rent covers the mortgage payment, and in the case of 1.2, plus an extra 20%. So in a perfect world, that would be easy. But in this DSCR world, there's a lot of different factors that can trip that up. And some of that is going to be interest rates, of course, which goes into credit score, down payment, prepayment penalties, and all that stuff. So what you don't want to do is go out, put an offer on something in your head and in your realtor's head. The rent should easily cover that mortgage payment. But then you get a DSCR ratio that's under 1, and then you're stuck, right? So let's look at an example where basically that's what happened and how we fixed it. So maybe if you're in this type of situation, this can help you. I had a client, this was late last year. He was, had good income, but self-employed, had strong credit, and he's not someone who you would think would typically have trouble getting a loan. But again, he was self-employed, so thus the DSCR loan, because there is no income. And he was buying a high-end condo as an investment. This was actually on Lake Norman in North Carolina. And the property on paper was cash flowing. But, the numbers, although that they made sense, when the appraisal came back, the appraiser's market rent estimate came in lower, and that dropped the ratio under 1. I think it was a 0.8. So you would think this was a hard stop, and we did have a problem, right? He had the money for the 20% down payment. His other money was tied up in a business, and it would have had some big tax consequences for tapping into it. But his wife was not on the loan, and she had access to some money that we could come up with a little bit more down payment. So this lender, and I would say most lenders, will allow a ratio down to a 0.75. So in other words, if the mortgage payment was $1,000, as long as the rent was $750, then that would be okay. But what this was going to require is a slightly higher interest rate, and of course, normally you'd have to figure out, well, how are we going to document these funds? But the interesting thing about most, not all, DSCR lenders is that they don't require large deposits or down payment funds to be verified. Basically as long as they show up, that's fine. So what we did was we had his wife give him a gift for an additional 5% down payment. We didn't have to document it. And then they put 25% down instead of 20% down. And although it had a higher interest rate, we still made the ratio work and stay over 0.75. So the trick there, if you want to say it was a trick, was that we were able to get the gift without documenting it. And, that would be basically not possible on a normal, fully documented Fannie Mae sort of loan. It would have just been dead in the water. So another way that DSCR loans get denied is, not just the ratio, but there are some other landmines. And one is the appraisal. This comes back really to the ratio. And the way that DSCR lenders determine what the fair market rent is the appraiser, when they do the appraisal, they fill out another form called a Form 1007, and that's where they put their determination of the fair market rent. So it's not what the market rent Zillow says, or your property manager, or your real estate agent. It's what the appraiser comes back at. So if your appraiser underestimates the market rent by $200 a month, all of a sudden your ratio swings from 1.1 to 0.9, and you got a problem. You're gonna have to put more down payment down. Now you can challenge a low 1007, but it's probably not gonna work. It's very hard to change an appraiser's mind on something. So this is something where you can actually get a appraiser's rent schedule, right? Fair opinion of rent for about $100 or $125 for most appraisers. So that would potentially be money well spent to figure out if this property you're going to buy or go under contract on is going to work. Another thing is property type restrictions. So every property doesn't qualify for DSCR financing. And one that I see a lot of investors, or some investors, get tripped up on is they want to buy a rural property. In general, these type of lenders don't like rural properties, and most just won't do them. If they will, they might go up to 5 acres. Most I've probably seen is 10. But then you're going to have a problem of finding comps, right? Comparable properties like that rent, because those just aren't typical rental properties. So it's probably just something you want to stay away from. Another is condotels, and a condotel is a hotel-style condo where the building has a front desk and a rental management, and a lot of times they're just not eligible. There are going to be some lenders that'll do them, but it's going to have a higher interest rate and more down payment. It's really just kind of a headache. Non-warrantable condos are another one, which have become more common since there was, I think it's maybe 5 years ago down in Florida, there was a big condo collapse. And so now condos are having to pass a higher bar. Especially if there's any litigation against the condo or the HOA unit, that's probably going to be a dead deal. Short-term rentals are tricky. It's just something that you want to be aware of and prepared for before you go under contract. All these lenders are going to ask, is this property going to be a long-term rental or a short-term rental? And really, I just always term it, if possible, as a long-term rental, because as long as the fair market rent covers it, it really doesn't matter, right? Now, if you do need to do that, and sometimes this has helped, if you're an investor, you might be aware of a website called AirDNA. A lot of them will take an AirDNA report. Now, they're going to require that the confidence score of the AirDNA report is high, and they're going to take a haircut off of whatever it is. So if AirDNA says the fair market rent's $1,000 and they have a high confidence score, they're going to treat that as $800. But a lot of times, that can be an easy way to document it. And it's an easy way to figure it out up front, right? because you can run a DNA report, air DNA report. But you do have to be prepared before you go in, to know what you're dealing with. Now, the next thing, of course, is credit profile. And this is with any mortgage, but especially with these types of mortgages. What I see is you really want to have at least a 680 credit score to get the best of the financing for these kind of loans. You could go down to a 660 and really even down to a 620. But in all practicality, if you're going under, say, a 660 especially, the interest rate's going to get quite high. And then you're going to have an even harder problem with the ratios, DSCR ratio. And then you're going to have to put more money down. So really you want to look at a 680. Also, if you have recent late mortgage payments, like in the last 12 months, that's probably a deal killer. And you just want to make sure that if you've had a bankruptcy or foreclosure, that you meet the lender's guidelines. Most I see is they want to see a minimum of 2 years out of bankruptcy or foreclosure. The next thing that I do see trips people up is reserves, because most people think, oh, well, I've got 20% to put down on a property. But what they maybe aren't prepared for is that you're going to have typically 6 months of mortgage payments left over after closing in some type of account. Now, some lenders will go down to 3, but I would say be prepared for 6. And the nice thing about it is, unlike a conventional loan, you don't have to have a certain number of reserves if you own multiple properties. They're only concerned about the property you're buying. But you do want to be prepared for that, and that money can be in obviously cash, retirement accounts, 401k. They are probably going to take a haircut off of a 401k or stock portfolio. In other words, probably use a little less because those go up and down. So another thing that you want to be prepared for is if you want to close in an LLC. Unlike conventional loans, you are typically allowed to close in an LLC, but the details matter. Most would like to see a single member LLC or a husband and wife. You are allowed to have partners typically. Some lenders will require that all partners be on the mortgage though. So you just want to make sure that the LLC is set up correctly before you go under contract. And a lot of lenders would prefer to see an LLC set up for this particular property that you're buying, but some are okay if you have an LLC that owns other rental properties. But another thing that you want to research and be prepared for before you go under contract. Now, the sort of last resort sometimes for these kind of mortgages, and one that a lot of mortgage brokers don't either know about or deal with, is something called a no-ratio DSCR loan. So that's really what happens if your ratio comes back under 0.75. Otherwise, there's just no way to do it. Now, the way this works is that they don't calculate a DSCR at all. They're not looking into the rent, and they're not running any math against it. So as long as your credit score fits and you put enough down payment down, and of course you have the reserves, then that will work. But of course it's going to have a higher interest rate, and they're going to require more down payment, probably at least 30%, maybe as much as 35%. So if you do have a property that is not going to cash flow, but you still want to buy it for whatever reason, that's another way to do it. So really what I want you to take away from this video is that, well, if you've been told no because of your DSCR ratio, there's probably a way to do it as long as you have a little bit more down payment and you have the reserves. I just want you to be fully prepared before you go out and put an offer on a property. And I also want you to sort of not believe the hype that these are just the easiest loans ever. You just, show up and it's like closes like magic. The secret is to be prepared. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please click like and subscribe, share it with a friend. If you'd like to talk about a scenario or get pre-approved for a DSCR loan, go to my website, mortgagesbyscott.com, and you can fill out a form, tell me what's going on, or just fill out an application. So anyway, thanks for watching.